Welcome to Tech Talks. I'm still Simon with you. We are looking at biology and we are going to focus on the mode of action of an enzyme. The mode of action of an enzyme. Remember I said that in properties of enzymes catalyze chemical reactions within living systems. Even after living, even outside living systems, because they are catalysts. Only one thing, they are produced by living cells. So we can continue and say, how do they work? It is their mode of action. So one would say, enzymes speed up the rate of a chemical reaction by lowering the activation energy needed for the reaction to occur. So it is bringing us a new term, activation energy. We are going to call it EA. Activation energy, EA. What does it mean to reactions that enzymes do catalyze? Even other catalysts, inorganic catalysts do catalyze. Activation energy refers to the minimum amount of energy that must be supplied to the reactants, biologically we call them substrates, to form products. Meaning, if you are to illustrate an equation here, if we have A and B reacting together, in order for them to give us, let's say, C and D, the energy we must supply here is EA for them to react and give us new products C and D. So activation energy is minimum. Minimum means below which a chemical reaction will not take place. So for a chemical reaction to take place, there is energy we call activation energy that must be supplied such that reactants can get enough kinetic energy to form the desired products. So if we plotted a plot of potential energy against reaction path, if we got a plot from that on enzyme controlled reaction versus uncontrolled reactions, means on our y-axis we have on the y-axis we have potential energy, can be, let's say, in joules, and this is the reaction path. Initially, every substance on Earth has potential energy. If A and B are reacting, it means there is energy within A and B that they contain, and that is their potential energy. We shall call this one the ground state. So there is a ground state of substances which is contained in every substance. Even this I'm holding must be having its ground state in terms of potential energy. But if they are to react, there is energy that is going to be absorbed to form an activated complex. That activated complex, we shall call it, if it is enzyme controlled, we shall call it the enzyme substrate complex. But before it is an enzyme substrate complex, we can query, what if the enzyme was not there? Before we call it the enzyme substrate complex. What if the enzyme was not there? We'll just call it simply an activated complex. This activated complex is in the one that absorbed this amount of energy, which we are calling EA, to form the activated complex. An activated complex is the one which is ready to form now the products. Now the activated complex can break it down to form products. Let's say now in our case to form C and D from A and B, which is activated complex. So in this kind of reaction, we can see clearly that the amount we supplied to the reactants and the amount of energy that is contained in the products this way, the products are containing more energy than the reactants. What does this mean in terms of energy terms in chemical reactions? There is this difference of energy that has been retained, which we call now change in energy, which has been retained by the products, meaning to such a reaction, if it happens in that case, to such a reaction, the energy changes in that reaction are going to be positive. Why? Energy has been absorbed from the surrounding into the products, because activation energy must have come from the surroundings, not in the products, but in the surroundings. If we continue further and the products are formed, let's say to that level, it would mean the initial energy that we supplied plus the energy that is given off, there is a difference in energy which is a negative. We shall call such a reaction biologically exogonic, and we shall call this one endogonic reaction. In chemistry, we refer to them as ectothermic and endothermic reactions. So how do enzymes work in this case? Enzymes work by lowering the activation energy. Sometime after even lowering the activation energy, the products are formed earlier. So this energy that is required if I called it EA2 of enzyme controlled reaction, energy that is required in an enzyme controlled reaction vis-a-vis the energy that is required in an enzyme controlled reaction, the one of enzyme controlled reaction would be lower than the one of uncontrolled reactions. So this is how they do this. They lower the activation energy needed. If they lower it, they speed up the chemical reaction, and so reactions in biosystems will occur faster. We have scenarios we have so far looked at that there is cellulose. Why don't organisms digest cellulose? We say it is very stable. That statement carries a lot of sense. Why is it very stable? There is nothing that does not have a price. Cellulose will be digested so long as the activation energy is made. So now, when we say something is very stable, it means the activation energy needed for it to react is too high, to the level that to attain it, you supply a lot of energy, which in some biological processes is impossible, and we end up with such reactions saying they are impossible, or the reactant is inert, but there is nothing that is inert. Everything can react so long as the activation energy supplied is high enough, is above the minimum, or is just minimum to make a reactant react.